Hello students, Jai Hind, good morning, welcome back to our e-learning session. As you all know, in last lecture, we have already completed 2 chapters of physics. We have completed chapter number 10, light reflection and refraction, and we also completed chapter number 11, that is human eye and colorful world. Those 2 chapters of physics we have completed. Now, dear student, as you all know very well, as far as biology is concerned, as I have already given you idea in my first introductory lecture, as far as biology is concerned, there are 4 chapters. Chapter number 6, 7, 8 and 9 are of biology section. Try to understand one very important fact, dear student. As far as biology is concerned, chapter number 6, 7, 8 and 9, all 4 chapters are ultimately an essential and vital discussion about life processes. All chapters, starting from chapter number 6, 7, 8 and 9, you are going to discuss very important biological processes, which sometimes we call, the title of this chapter, life processes we call it. Try to understand, dear student, in this particular chapter, in all chapter number 6, 7, 8 and 9, take an example. In chapter number 6, we are going to discuss about 3 life processes in detail. We will discuss it in detail in later half of the lecture. One is nutrition, which we are going to discuss today. Then respiration, excretion and transportation. 4 life processes we are going to discuss in chapter number 6, which I spoke: nutrition, respiration, excretion and transportation. 4 life processes we are going to discuss in chapter number 6. Then, dear student, in chapter number 7, we are going to discuss another very important life process, very necessary for survival of every living organism, that is control and coordination, that we are going to discuss in chapter number 7. Then chapter 7, we are going to discuss one another important life process, that is control and coordination. Then, dear student, in chapter number 8, a very important life process which is necessary for survival and perpetuation of all living organism, that is reproduction. And chapter number 9, heredity and evolution, which can't be considered as life process, but it is compulsory and essential for the survival of species of various variety of living organism in the world. So, dear student, we are going to discuss your complete biology chapter number 6, 7, 8 and 9 are thorough discussion about all life processes. Different chapters have different title. Chapter 7 has title control and coordination. Chapter 8 has title how do living organisms reproduce. Chapter 9 has title Heredity and Evolution, but the basic starts from chapter number 6, that is discussion about life processes. Okay, dear student, welcome. We are starting chapter number 6. Okay, now, dear student, when we are starting this chapter, which topic we are going to cover? Okay, in today's lecture, we are going to cover 3 topics in today's lecture. Introduction, we are taking a bit discussion about that. Then we will take about topic 1, life processes. Topic 2 we are going to take, and topic 3, that is nutrition. Okay, those topic we are going to discuss in today's lecture. Now, dear student, when you are discussing about life processes, that means you are discussing about the living world. Many question arises in our mind. That introduction topic we are taking a bit discussion of that. How can we tell the difference between what is alive and what is not alive? When you are discussing about living organism, this question is going to occur in your mind. Whom you can call alive and whom you cannot call live. Many questions arise in your mind. Take an example, dear student. Everything which you see moving, can you consider them live? Suppose a fan is moving, will you call it live? It is in moving. Suppose a car going on the road is moving, will you consider it live? No, dear student. Movement cannot be considered a defining characteristic for being alive. I have written visible movement cannot be taken as the defining characteristic of life. This punch statement, understand, because we are teaching you through PPT, some of the punch statement of the topic will be highlighted here. Whom you can call live. Suppose, dear student, a dog is running on the street. Obviously, you will call it live. A human being walking or running or jumping or driving, whatever, you will consider them live. A cow moving, you will consider it live. But suppose I tell you that suppose a dog is sleeping, cow is sleeping, you yourself are sleeping, you will consider you live or not? Understand, dear student, just try to imagine plants in your mind. Are you not considering plants live? They are not moving. Have you seen a plant moving and jumping from one place to another? Not at all. Then also we call them live, and we speak that plant has life like all living organism has life. So actually, dear student, when we are talking a definition and conceptualizing in our mind what is live and what is not live, this visible movement should not be considered a defining and prime characteristic of defining any living organism live. Not at all. Even, dear student, when you are sleeping, means every living organism, when they are sleeping, some molecular movements are already going on in their body, which you call life process. Even when you are running, understand, you are respiring. So when you are sleeping, you are respiring. So some movements are already taking place at micro level. See, dear student, one another punch statement I want to discuss with you. Movements are always going on at micro molecular stage, which we call metabolic reactions. What do you mean by metabolic reaction? The processes like digestion, which we call life process, those metabolic reactions, understand, take an example, oxidation and reduction reaction are already taking place inside our cell in our body. Understand, secretion of enzymes from various glands are already taking place inside our body even when you are moving or you are not moving, whenever you are stable, even you are sitting or sleeping. Some micromolecular means some metabolic reactions at micromolecular level are already occurring in your body. That means you cannot consider moment as defining characteristic of life. Understand, some are growth related moment. Suppose, dear student, when you are born, you are such a small child. Understand, now you are big enough. Okay, that means the growth related moment you can see. You saw a seed, that small seed sprouts and convert into a huge plant. What is that? Is that those moments which you are thinking of? Not at all. So, dear student, one thing is clear in your mind. What is that? You cannot define moment as main characteristics. Understand, or movement can't be considered a defining characteristic for being alive. At micromolecular level, many chemical reactions, vital chemical reaction which we call metabolic chemical reaction, are taking place inside your body. Okay, dear student, now if we jump to the next topic, what you will consider life processes. See, dear student, either living organism can be unicellular, simpler organism, multicellular, simpler organism, multicellular, complex organism having complicated body organization, whatever. For every living organism, life processes are essential and vital. What is the punch statement of this second topic, life process? Life processes are those vital processes. You just think of this. Those vital processes which are necessary, understand, which are necessary for survival and maintenance of every living organism. Okay, dear student, this punch statement is to be remembered consciously and carefully. Those vital processes which are essential, understand, every living organism need to perform them for survival and maintenance of all living organism. Understand, try to just understand this very important punchline of this. Okay, dear student, life processes are those vital processes which are essential for the survival and maintenance of every living organism. Understand which are those life processes? Just now we have discussed every living organism, maybe unicellular or multicellular, they need to perform all these life processes. They are nutrition, as you know, respiration, excretion, transportation, reproduction, control, and coordination. These are those life processes which every living organism has to perform for their survival, their perpetuation, and their maintenance of life. You understood, dear student? So, if in exam, when I give you homework at last in this lecture, if it is asked what are life processes, you need to be very, very sure and accurate about this punch statement to be written. Life processes are those vital processes which are essential, understand, for the survival and maintenance of all living organism. Every living organism has to perform this. You consider at micro level or macro level, either bacteria, fungus, understand, starting from a lower class organism to upper class to the top zenith organism. Every organism has to perform all these life processes. No doubt, different living organisms, you have understood in 9th standard the classification of living organism, where you have seen that different living organism has different body organization, and according to the body organization they possess, understand, accordingly the every living organism perform all these life processes for their survival. Understand, different living organism has different way of nutrition, respiration, excretion, understand, perpetuation, reproduction, heredity, and evolution, and all that we are going to discuss later on. Okay, dear student. Now one more thing. For, we move to the topic number 3, dear student. What is nutrition? In this chapter, we are going to discuss about how many life process? 4 life process. Nutrition, respiration, then we are going excretion and transportation. First, our target is nutrition. What is the real meaning of nutrition? It understand what is written here. The process of, just try to understand, dear student, what is written here. Okay, the process of, you need to remember this punchline very good. Obtaining food, digesting it, and absorbing essential and necessary nutrients from it is called nutrition. When in exam, if I ask you what is nutrition, I want every student to write this punchline essential words very well in your definition. Nutrition means it is the holistic, complete process of obtaining food, digesting it, and absorbing essential and necessary nutrients from it. That is called nutrition. Okay, dear student. Now one more thing. Let us try to understand it. It can be categorized. We can consider nutrition at 2 stages, 2 level. One is autotrophic nutrition and one you call heterotrophic nutrition. What is actually the meaning of autotrophic nutrition and what is meaning of heterotrophic nutrition? Try to understand, dear student. When I am talking of autotrophic nutrition, that confines to only those living organisms having chlorophyll, mostly the green plants, which has chlorophyll. Where the chlorophyll pigment is found, you have understood in 9th standard in cell, one of the organelle chloroplast, which is called the kitchen of the cell, consists this green colored pigment called chlorophyll. All those living organisms having chlorophyll are performing autotrophic nutrition. Those living organisms which do not have chlorophyll in their cell, we all come in that category, are performing heterotrophic nutrition where we are dependent on other source for our survival. Understand? Maybe you are vegetarian or non-vegetarian. We can categorize living organism, carnivorous, understand, herbivorous, omnivorous. We all know the category, but either you consider herbivorous animals, carnivorous animal, omnivorous animal, decomposers, transformers, we all are performing heterotrophic nutrition. That means we depend on other living organism for our survival. Okay. So two types nutrition can be categorized in two types. First, autotrophic nutrition, and second, heterotrophic nutrition. Living organism having chlorophyll, understand, are performing autotrophic nutrition, and those who do not have chlorophyll, I just mention all categories which I mentioned: herbivorous, carnivorous, omnivorous, understand, decomposers, transformers. We all are performing heterotrophic nutrition, means for our nutrition we depend on other living organisms. Okay, dear student. Now try to understand one thing. We have categorized nutrition into two types, autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition. You all know, dear student, very well that autotrophic nutrition in plants is performed by leaf. You all know leaf is the main organ of the plant where these processes take place. Understand? Suppose, dear student, let us try to see the structure of the leaf. Okay? See, try to understand this. See, I have just shown the structure of the leaf. Okay? See, dear student, what I have shown here is just a simple leaf first. What is shown here is what is inside. This can be called a CS, cross section of the leaf. Suppose this is leaf, and if I cut and if I observe it, this can be called a transfer section. Understand? CS of the leaf. See, you can see the midrib, latina, leaf blade, vein, that you all know, but inside that you will see in the main midrib xylem phloem. Understand? Now, dear student, what is important for us is this upper epidermis, waxy cuticle, that you all know, but main is chloroplast and stomata. That is important for us to study. Lower epidermis means the leaf. Understand? If you think of that, so from upper to lower epidermis, the inside the leaf, they have already shown that this is lying. The upper is waxy cuticle, then upper epidermis, then they have shown the cell organelle. This is chloroplast, dear student, where you will see the presence of green colored pigment, chlorophyll, and this is lower epidermis. Okay. So this leaf, if you expand, understand that this, if you expand, this is what you see inside the leaf. And here actually chloroplast is present. These are all cells where you will see the chloroplast. You can see here, dear student, they have already shown. Understand? This is chloroplast. Okay. And it contains a green colored pigment, chlorophyll. Okay. Now one more thing, dear student, which I must share with you. Just try to understand one more thing, dear student. See, this is what the structure of the leaf look like. Understand? If you expand any cell, you will come to know immediately that this is chloroplast present. Understand? Now one more thing which we want to understand, that is a very important structure in plant. One is leaf, understand, and stomata. What is actually the function of stomata, dear student? So one more thing I must clarify with you, that suppose if somebody asks you which is our respiratory organ, so you will immediately say that our respiratory organ is our nose. Through nose only we can respire, we can inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide through our nostrils only. But do you think that plant has only one respiratory organ? Not at all. Almost all organs of the plant respire. Even root also try to take oxygen dissolved in water, dissolved in groundwater. Stem also respire, leaf also respire. Understand, dear student, in plant almost every organ respire. This is the organ present, understand, in leaf. Try to see that, dear student. This is what I have shown, the structure of stomata. Where are stomata found? You all know very well, dear student. Where stomata are found? Stomata are found. Suppose this is leaf, okay? Just take an example. Suppose, dear student, this is leaf. Stomata are found either on the upper surface of the leaf or in desert plant to reduce the loss of water on the lower surface of the leaf, as you all know, okay? Just let us try to understand what is actually the structure and function of stomata, dear student. Suppose this I have shown open stomata and this is closed stomata, okay? See this cell which you can see, dear student, are called guard cells, and these two are guard cells. You understood this? Suppose I show you from here. These are guard cell, dear student. See, one is this one. This is guard cell, and this is another guard cell. Actually, this stomata pore is controlled by the movement of the guard cell. Understand? So in the diagram, you can see here. Here the guard cell are shrinked. Here the guard cell are flattened, open. Actually, how it happens, that I want to explain you. Generally, plant respire through this stomata. They inhale oxygen and throw out carbon dioxide through this stomata. Almost other organ also respire, that I already mentioned you at the start, okay? But stomata is one of the main organ of the plant, dear student, lying on upper surface or lower surface of the plant, depending on how the loss of water take place in different habitat, okay? Here, dear student, see the stomata pore is closed here. How it happened? Because this guard cell tried to take water from surrounding cell. See, this is original position of stomata, where the guard cell are shrink. Understand? Now what happens, dear student? When plant needs to respire oxygen and carbon dioxide, actually this water from this neighboring cell enters in this guard cell. When the water enters in this guard cell from the neighboring cell, what happens, dear student? Like if you take a balloon and if you blow air in balloon, it is going to flatten. You all know. So what happens the moment, understand, the water from the neighboring cell enters in the guard cell, what is going to happen? The guard cell, like you blow air, it is going to flatten, and because it flattens, it stretches in this concave manner and the stomata pore gets opened. And this is the way, dear student, plant respire, because it needs oxygen for survival, but it needs carbon dioxide for performing the process of photosynthesis. If you can remember, in our chapter number 1, I have explained the process of photosynthesis, where carbon dioxide and water combines, understand, and forms glucose and oxygen. If you can remember that equation, can you remember that equation? Okay, 6CO2, yes, can you? Plus 6H2O gives what? You can remember C6, okay, H12O6, okay, if you can remember, plus 6O2. This is the process of photosynthesis which we have understood and studied in our chapter number 1. Actually, during the process of photosynthesis, carbon dioxide and water actually chemically combine with each other and form starch, which we can call glucose also. Understand, dear student? But you understood, for the process of making starch, understand, you require what? You require water, as well you require carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide is absorbed with the help of this stomatal pore, understand, which opens and closes, understand, with the process of guard cell only. Guard cell play a very important role in the process of opening and closing of this stomata pore. Okay, dear student. Now see, actually, uh, the process of photosynthesis take place in three stages that I want to explain you, dear student. Which are those three stages? Understand? See, three stages are already there in the process of photosynthesis, dear student. First one, three stages. First, photosynthesis always take place in presence of sunlight. You all know absorption, which organelle of the plant cell actually absorbs the sunlight? That's chlorophyll. Chlorophyll absorbs the sunlight and get excited during the daytime, during the daylight. Okay. Second one, absorption of light energy by chlorophyll. Now what happens? Light energy which is absorbed by chlorophyll, and chlorophyll get excited, understand, and release electron, and this excited electron are going to play a very important role in conversion of light energy to chemical energy. That means it will split the water molecule, understand, into hydrogen and oxygen. This is the second stage. And the third stage, dear student, the equation just now I have written, reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrate. That means 6CO2 plus 6H2O gives C6H12O6 plus 6O2. Okay. So this is the way the autotrophic nutrition take place. These three punchline, dear student, punch statement are very important, because it may happen that in 3 mark they can ask you such type of question that mention 3 stages of process of photosynthesis. At that time you should remember this. The first one, as you all know, what is that? The first one, absorption of light energy by chlorophyll, then conversion of light to chemical, splitting of water to hydrogen and oxygen, and reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrate. Okay, dear student, you need to remember all the stages. This is stage number 1, stage number 2, and stage number 3, the process of photosynthesis. Okay, now dear student, let us move to the next one. Okay, see the next one. Okay, let us take another type of nutrition. Let us target, that is heterotrophic nutrition. What is actually the meaning of, dear student, heterotrophic nutrition? What is that? I already told you that heterotrophic nutrition, that means the nutrition performed by all of us. Either you call herbivorous, carnivorous, omnivorous, whatever, the process performed by all of us is categorized as heterotrophic nutrition. Actually, dear student, first you just read it. Okay, just have a look at this. I have heterotrophic nutrition is categorized into 3 stages. First you just look at this. Okay, see, you must have read. One is holozoic nutrition. What is that? We all are performing holozoic nutrition. I have just mentioned a part or whole is taken as food, understand, by human being. Take an example. We all are omnivorous animal, understand. Our food includes vegetarian and non-vegetarian product as well, understand. But take an example, you eat potato, that means you are eating the whole potato plant? No, you are eating that product only, understand. So actually we all are performing holozoic type of nutrition, where we utilize either a part of other living organism or a whole living organism that we are utilizing in our nutrition. Now the second one, dear student, parasitic nutrition. You must have understood about and you must have heard about parasites. What is actually the meaning of parasitic nutrition. Here also, dear student, the living organism is dependent on other source. You understood? But what I have written, in parasitic type of nutrition, the living organism which actually invade or attack other living organism is called guest. Understand? Like the coronavirus today is a parasitic because it attacks us, it invades us. Understand? For its survival, but ultimately it is causing us harm and even our death. So you can consider virus as one type of, understand, ectoparasites only. When enters the body, understand, and destroys our lungs, the one type of that is parasitic nutrition. All virus, most of the, mostly many bacteria, all are parasitic only. They are causing various types of infectious and non-infectious and lethal disease in our body. Okay. The host is utilized for nutrition by harming them. That means you understood one thing, what I suggested just now. In this type of nutrition, what is happening every time? That the host is utilized for the process of nutrition and they are harming the host. You understood this? I have mentioned some example, ticks, understand, leeches, tapeworms, etc. Dear student, tapeworms lives inside our intestine for their survival, but ultimately causing us harm. Understand? Some other examples are also there, dear student. Suppose I want to show you, take an example. Okay. Leeches, lice, you know, head lice. If you don't wash your hairs properly, the head lice, understand, fall in your hair, understand, and causing much harm. And we have seen students just doing that way. Okay. The head lice, ticks, cascuta, the leeches, all can be considered a parasitic living organisms. Understand? Cascuta, dear student, you must have heard this word Amar well. We call, understand that Cascuta is a parasitic living organism. How actually Cascuta survive? Let me show you. Okay, see this, dear student. Cascuta. I have shown it here. Okay, what is actually happening? See, you can see here, dear student, one thing. Understand? See here, if you can see, this is one plant. Okay, the stem is visualized, and here you can see the cascuta. See, it is a cascuta. It is winding around the stem of this plant. Actually, what cascuta does, it just wind around, it whirl around the stem of the other host and try to absorb the nutrients from it. Cascuta will survive, but that plant within a short period of time will wither away. You understood this? So this is called parasitic nutrition. Okay, dear student. Now let us move to another very important type of nutrition. This is already okay. Now again let us come to this. Saprophytic nutrition. What does it mean, dear student? That is related with dead and decaying matter. Many living organisms at lower level, you consider them fungus, bacteria, virus, etc. Understand, a dead and decaying matter decomposed and utilized for their survival. Understand, not only when I mention at the start categories of the living organism, when I speak decomposers and transformers, at that time I was talking of fungus, bacteria, all microorganisms, understand, which actually decompose the dead bodies of other living organisms. Not only dead body, but they also try to take nutrition, and not only from dead body, but from decaying excretory material also. Okay, that is called saprophytic nutrition, and those living organisms, either microorganism like bacteria, fungus, as well some of the living organism, dear student, can also be considered a saprophyte. Suppose I just want to show you, just are you able to identify in this? See, you can see, can you identify this animal I have shown here? Which is that animal? Are you able to identify it? Okay, can you? This animal is also called, dear students, scavenger. This is hyena. If you have seen, in Gujarati we call it jharak, hyena, one of the living organism always feed on the dead bodies, you know. They do not hunt any animal. They just eat the dead bodies of living organism and try to derive their nutrition. Not only hyena, dear student. I want to you can see the vultures also here. See here in the diagram, vultures. Vultures are also, dear student, you all know, they also depend for their survival and for their nutrition on the dead bodies of other living organism. You understood this? Okay. So we even crow, we can call them scavenger. What we call them? Scavenger. They all perform the process of saprophyte nutrition. Even, dear student, I must mention dog, crow, all just now we have to understand that crow are not cannot be only considered scavenger, but they also depend on dead bodies of other living organisms. Okay, you have seen kite, even you have seen kite, vultures, hyenas, crow. They are you seen sometime feeding on the dead bodies of other living organism. Okay, dear student. So saprophytic nutrition. So we categorized heterotrophic nutrition into three categories. Which are those? Can you say? Holozoic nutrition, then saprophytic nutrition, and parasitic nutrition. Okay, dear student. Now one more thing. Okay, as you all know, dear student, we have discussed. Understand? Let's take a summary of the topic which we have discussed in today's lecture. You have physical copies of material and you can verify from it, dear student. We have today discussed three topics. One, we have taken introduction and topic 1, 2 and 3 that we have discussed. Understand, dear student, from the topic which we have discussed today, the homework for you is this. You need to note down it. Should I highlight the homework, dear student? Okay. This is the homework which you have to do. Okay. This is your homework. Try to just understand this. Homework is this. Okay. This is your homework. सवाल हमारा, जवाब तुम्हारा. You know the section in our material. Okay. Which questions you have to write in homework in lecture number 1? Question number 1 to 8. That is your homework for today's lecture. Okay, dear student. So in today's lecture, we have started our biology section. Okay, chapter number 6. In the next lecture, we will continue, understand, with the topic of nutrition in detail in unicellular and complex multicellular living organism. Please note down this homework. Okay.